Interest rates in Canada are the highest they've been since 2001. And the Bank of Canada is now indicating that we are in a new era of interest rates. So as we say goodbye to the old lower interest rates of the past and say hello, unfortunately, to higher interest rates of the present and the future, what does that mean for the housing market in Canada? And what does it mean for people who are looking to buy a house or sell a house in the near future? That's exactly what I'm going to be breaking down in today's video as we examine what the housing market forecast looks like for the rest of 2023. Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Cameron Jones. I'm a licensed realtor with RE/MAX Niagara, and this is my channel where I share what it's like to work, live, play, invest, buy, and sell in the beautiful Niagara region. Now, if this is your first time here, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notifications every time I come out with a video just like this one. So as I mentioned, interest rates in Canada are now at a 20-year high. And the question on everybody's mind is, what is that going to do to home prices and activity in the market over the next few months, years, etc.? And what I can tell you is that anytime that there is an interest rate increase that's introduced by the Bank of Canada, there is a little bit of a pause with activity in the market. Prospective buyers, new home buyers entering the market always take a little bit of a pause just to reassess the situation and start to figure out if there's going to be more rate increases or if there's going to be some decreases in the future, basically where the market is going to be going. Now, in the current market, what you have is pretty healthy inventory. In fact, for this time of year, we haven't seen this much inventory on the market, active listings, homes for sale, in about 4 years. And pair that with the amount or lack of buyers that are entering the market or would like to enter the market, and you've got a recipe for stalling out home prices or maybe decreased home prices. So while we're still in the summer months, while people are on vacation, not really thinking about making a move in real estate, and we have all these introduced interest rate hikes, don't expect anything too dramatic to happen to prices over the course of the summer. Likely what you see right now happening in the market is going to continue on until something else disrupts it, until there's a major change. And that's not necessarily predicted for quite a while until the Bank of Canada starts to reduce rates starting next year in 2024. Now, could there be some life that's brought back into the market in the fall when people are back from their vacations, when they're starting to think about real estate again? They've had some time to adjust and get used to the interest rates and possibly re-enter the market. Yeah, of course, that could bring a little bit of some activity back to it in terms of buyers. But remember, all throughout the summer, that inventory is just going to build and build, and there's going to be a lot of choice that is still remaining when all of those buyers possibly come back to the market in the fall. But all this to say that I wouldn't expect prices to go anywhere dramatically, either up or down, over the summer and into the fall. Now, when we look beyond 2023, and start to peer into what things might look like in 2024, 2025, and beyond, things get a little bit more interesting. Namely because there's going to be a few different factors that are going to change the bigger landscape of what's happening in the housing market and with housing prices in Canada as we move forward. So let me break down some of those things. Now, one factor that is certainly going to influence the housing market in Canada is when the Bank of Canada starts to lower interest rates. Now in 2024, they have stated that their aim is to reduce interest rates by 2% and an additional 1% by the end of 2025. So over the next 2 years, their aim is to lower interest rates by a total of 3%. Now, whether that all happens because of inflation, we don't know, but that is their goal currently. And when that starts to happen, you can certainly expect that there's going to be a lot of buyers who have been sitting on the sidelines for the last little while, apprehensive about the market, to start to enter the market, come back into the market, and certainly start to put upward pressure on prices. So the two sides of the coin right now for home buyers are certainly that right now you have high interest rates but low prices and low competition. In the future, it's certainly possible that you'll have lower interest rates, but high competition and higher prices. The second factor has to do with mortgage affordability and mortgage renewals that are happening in the next few years. We know that the interest rates in Canada are the highest that they've been in 2 decades, and they're certainly higher than what we've been seeing over the last little while. So what that translates to is that almost all mortgage holders by 2026 will have renewed their mortgage at a higher rate, which impacts their monthly mortgage payments. In fact, the Bank of Canada is predicting that the average monthly payment for a mortgage could go up by 20 to 40%, which really starts to bring in the question of that mortgage affordability, or realistically, in other words, can I afford the house that I'm in? If those payments become too high, some changes might need to be made. And if there's enough folks who are in financial woes because of the payments that they need to make, there might be a lot of people who have to put their home up for sale because they just can't afford it anymore. And if there is a lot of people who are going to put up their home in the next few years, that's going to add to inventory, that's going to add to supply, which again needs to be satiated by demand. If that's not there, then it's going to start putting downward pressure on prices. And the third thing that's going to affect the housing market as we look forward into the future is going to be housing per capita and overall population growth. Now, Canada currently ranks the very last among the G7 countries when it comes to housing per capita, or the amount of housing that's available per person. And if we zoom in a little bit more, Ontario is the worst province when it comes to housing per capita in Canada. So right now, in Canada as a nation and in Ontario as a province, we are seeing a massive shortage of houses. And even if population was staying the same and is net zero, that would still put a lot of pressure on the housing market and prices upwards. So we really need some major changes, especially at the government level, if we want to start correcting that shortage and start building more homes. And remember, this type of shortage would put upward pressure on home prices even if population was net zero. And as we all know, it's not. It's actually pretty far from that. We are now growing our population at rates that we haven't seen in at least a few decades. In fact, in 2023, Ontario has grown its population by 500,000. Now, in contrast to that, we only started 100,000 new construction projects for homes. So not only do we have a shortage of housing already, but we are adding to it by letting in more people than we are starting new construction. So until some major changes start to happen, this is just going to be a problem that continues to snowball as we move forward into the future. And therefore, that demand is only going to keep putting upward pressure on prices as we move forward and forward into the future. So between the increased demand that we might see over the next few years as the Bank of Canada starts to reduce interest rates, the increased supply that we might see as home affordability starts to be called into question as homeowners go to renew their mortgages over the next few years, and the increased demand that we might see as our population grows with a growing housing shortage, it's going to be a very interesting watch to see how this all pans out over the course of the next few years. And nobody has a crystal ball, but here are some of the things that I think I can expect. Over the rest of 2023, don't expect there to be any major changes dramatically either up or down on home prices. I think you're going to get largely the same stagnant market that we've been seeing for the last little while continued for the rest of the year. Now, when the Bank of Canada does start to reduce rates, I think that is going to bring activity back into the market, and there's going to be a little flurry of activity and start to push prices back up. But that could be met with a little bit of increased supply if there's a lot of folks who are putting up their homes for sale because they can't afford it anymore. Now, that certainly could be the back half of 2024, 2025, 2026, but that still could be a factor leveling out home prices as we look forward across the next few years. But underpinning this all is really the big major issue of a lot of population growth and not a lot of housing solutions coming up in the next little while. And I think for the average person, that's only going to send home prices higher. And until major changes are made, like I've been saying, that's definitely going to be an underpinned issue that's only going to put pressure upwards on the housing market. And that's it for my housing market forecast for the rest of 2023 and beyond. If you have any questions or would like any more information about what I covered in this video, I will be putting my information down below so you can go ahead and reach out via text, call, email, or leave a comment below, and I will absolutely get back to you. But I appreciate you tuning in as always, and I will see you on the next one.